Hey, it's Ezra out there. Out there. Haha. Well, anyway, I'll get right to it. I want to talk about streaming services real quick because last night I watched two movies through streaming service that I very much likely would not have watched either way. Uh, I watched Friday After Next, which Shalane really likes, and it's a decent movie, whatever. And I watched The Love Guru, which on Watch Mojo top 10 lists gets slammed a lot for being a terrible movie. And it really wasn't that bad. It's just kind of slapstick, and to think it probably had a big Hollywood budget, which I don't have right in front of me. The Love Guru was very funny considering that it's a movie that didn't take itself too seriously. And I appreciate movies that don't take themselves too seriously. But what I'm getting at is, through the use of streaming services, there's a really good chance I may not have watched either one of those movies. Back in the day when we used to rent movies, you'd rent something and it'd maybe look good, maybe not. Sometimes, once in a while, I'd rent a movie and I wouldn't even watch it. Like, I've never seen Air Force One, but I rented it. Never saw Rushmore, but I rented it. All these movies that are either supposed to be A, really funny, or B, something they say you should watch. And you get home and you're like, you know what, I don't know if I want to put the time into this. And back then it was videos that you had to actually sit there, take the time to pop it in, hope it was rewound, all those things. It doesn't sound like much, but when you look at how easy it is just to stream a movie now, and what I'm getting at really is these streaming services, on one hand, they're doing a lot for movies. Like, I don't know if it's on there yet, but like The Room, you hear how terrible that is, the movie with Tommy Wiseau. There's a movie called The Disaster Artist coming out, and that's got James Franco playing this guy Tommy Wiseau. He's a totally egotistically blown actor who thinks he's like really great and all, and he probably isn't, but this movie looks total B-roll, and I've never seen it, but chances are I'm willing to watch it off a streaming service. And these streaming services have totally murdered it for regular TV. I mean, I know that YouTube has commercials and stuff, but when you look at commercial breaks on TV being upwards of like 3-4 minutes worth of commercials for a show that you've sat through, my mom says that, she's like, you forget what you're watching. And even though I don't forget what I'm watching, these shows have these ridiculous commercial breaks, and not only are they terrible, but channels like repeat a lot of stuff. One of my favorite channels is True TV because I love the Impractical Jokers. The only reason I would have came across that is back in the day, you'd surf through channels and you'd be like, you know what, I'll decide to watch that. We're now applying that idea of, you know what, I'll watch that to streaming service. We flip through something, and because there's an algorithm that detects what we like, we're more likely to come across something we actually would like, as opposed to TV just throwing you what they think people want to watch. And TV these days is really terrible, between how censored things have to be on TV, and TV is total garbage now. Like, when I watched Love Guru, it was on Amazon Prime TV, and I knew that they'd building up their channel for a while, or their streaming service for a while, but I didn't even really realize how much they have on their streaming service until maybe 2 nights ago, when Shalane was like, hey, check it out, look at all this stuff. And it's pretty crazy when you look at, if you have a mix of Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and maybe like one app to watch sports on, you don't even need to be able to watch anything else. And if it's news that you want to, news is depressing anyway. If you need to watch the news, then this whole like little talk about streaming services isn't even for you, because I don't even want to talk about news. News is just, they never show anything good. We know how that is, but that's not what this is about. my talk here is about the fact that streaming services are going to just crush networks, and they already are. And I know for advertisers and people making money, that kind of causes problems, but instead of dealing with cable companies, all these networks having to worry about these big old contracts, the streaming services just make their money off of the people that pay for what they want. And I think it's a great way to go. One part of me thought, like when radio died through satellite TV, at first I was like, oh man, radio's dying, but radio sucks now. All these, between radio and TV, they could have been doing what they needed to do to make themselves more competitive against streaming services, but they didn't. They just sat there and sucked, and streaming services are killing it, and I'm totally okay with them killing it. If it was 90s TV and like 90s radio and back when stuff, even early 2000, if that's what was getting killed out by these streaming services between radio and music and movies and TV, I'd be more concerned. But maybe it's time for TV just to like take a hike. Cable companies, all that garbage, totally over it. Let me know what you guys think about all this, because I'm such a big fan of streaming services, and there's a really good chance, I'd bet my toe, that you guys probably are too. I watch maybe a grand total. I watch True TV, and I watch a couple sports things on TV, and that's really, really it. And chances are you guys watch most of your stuff on streaming services too. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to be talking more about streaming services because I just think they're phenomenal. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Deuces and trays. Keep it easy, my Pacos.